My name's Sean Clark. I'm a member of the EVA organising group, and for the last few years, online and off, we've organised a Chinese session based on my contacts at Guangdong University of Technology in Guangdong, which is not far from Hong Kong, southern part of China. And what we're doing today is we're going to have a discussion or series of presentations and a discussion about some of the research that's being done in the field of digital art in China. So we called the session Digital Arts in China, Past, Present and Future, and we'll be delving in various extents to those three areas. The speakers, it'd be good if they could do a very brief introduction to themselves. I'm sure I'm going to pronounce some names wrong, so the first thing maybe is to correct the pronunciation of your name. And we do need to keep on time. So this is the schedule. We will just start with the first presentation, 15 minutes, second presentation, and then we're going to have a series of short student talks about some of the work that's taking place at GDUT. And then we'll have a bit of time for questions and a discussion. And then we'll move over to the papers that are included in today's session. So one paper presented from China and then two papers being presented from here. So fingers crossed, everything will go smooth. And then we finish with our keynote from Charlie here. Although, Mr. Keynote, strictly speaking, the start of the next session.
Well, we've got a separate chair for the Charlie here, who is...
Nick Amber, I think, maybe.
Yes, Nick.
So I know that there are a group of you in China who are joining us. Feel free to stay for that keynote session if you like. So I think the first thing I should do is maybe hand over to our first speaker, who's Zhigang Wang. And if you could just do a very brief introduction to yourself, and then if you can keep to 15 minutes for your presentation, that would be great. Over to you.
Okay.
I think I'll need to stop sharing my screen.
Can everyone watch the screen?
Yeah, and can you make that full screen?
Okay, yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Wang Zhigang.
It disappeared. Yes.
Right here. Okay. Okay. I'm engaged in teaching and research in Tsinghua University. My research interests are new media art, cultural display and communication, and innovation in performing arts. Today, I'm very glad to have the opportunity to share with you one of my design cases. I served as a visual director for the opening and the closing ceremonies of the 2022 Winter Paralympics Games, mainly responsible for the design and the production for the ground screen videos for the performance and the ceremonies. Today, the contents are shared is divided into the three parts. The first part is using circle as a unified visual symbol. The second part is echoing and nesting narrative structure. The third part is a combination of art and technology. Okay, at the beginning, I'm going to start by showing you highlights review video for the opening and the closing ceremony. The substances of the Beijing Winter Paralympics are simple, safe, and exciting. Compared with the Winter Olympics, pays more attention to expressing the power of human beings by showing the emotional connection between person to person, expressing the desire of people and the healthy people to interact and share better work. During the opening and the closing ceremony, the video design has always been to show the colorful inner world. By combining the art, powerful. Firstly, a unified visual symbol for video design. The opening and the closing ceremonies of the Winter Paralympics use the circle as a main symbol, expressing the universal language of consummation, integration, and unity. Uh, the circle also represents the independent personality and the dignity of the disabled. Despite their physical defects, their inner world is still rich and colorful. The expression form of the circular symbol at the opening ceremony is concentric circles. In Chinese traditional culture, uh, concentric circles are important symbols to convey completeness and harmony. Concentric circles are widely used in the design of stage backgrounds, video spaces, and the performance dynamics. Continue to deepen the concept of the concentric circles. For example, the cosmic porthole in the countdown session, the particle water surface in the emblem display session, which composed of the braille. The image is designed based on the blind children's painting smile face in the dance performance and the circular flower in the final ignition session. At the closing ceremony, we use the visual image of the gramophone as a symbolic expression, which is a figurative medium with a sense of a warming feeling. At the same time, we added the stage art installation of the mechanical stylus combined with the picture elements of sound wave and clock to express the unity of the warmth, memory, and inclusiveness. The record was space of the stage performance, where all the closing performance and the ceremonies were completed. The second part, anchoring and nesting, is the narrative logic structure of the video design, also the performance design. In the opening ceremony, we took the stories of the disabled people as samples, and the narrative reason gradually deepened from the individual stories to collective stories, and finally launched the wonderful moment of the bloom of life. Moreover, by repeatedly emphasizing the same elements, many details in the opening and the closing ceremonies completely complete the end-to-end echo of the narrative. In the emblem display session of the opening and the closing ceremonies, the blind artist and the little girl jointly displayed the hand-painted emblem in their palm of the hand. And then we transformed it into a huge emblem pattern on the ground screen. The third part is to combine technology with artistic expression so that the video design can be successfully achieved. The opening ceremony made extensive use of particle elements, formed dynamic images based on the different circular shapes. Particle elements symbolize aggregation, flexibility, and vitality. In the emblem display of the opening ceremony, we use the software to stimulate the particle shapes so that the braille text can be lively expressed and changed, and many animation effects were achieved. At the closing ceremony, the flake-like particle patterns of the records and the sound waves in the video design are derived from the 3D animation of displayed children's character. We simulate the space of the site through the interactive software and adapt the image to the cylindrical space by the means of textures. We also use a fixed point camera to obtain the perspective of the podium and perform perspective correction of the picture inside the software. And finally, we present the naked eye 3D optical illusion effect projected on the physical venue. So CG technology allows us to break the limitation of the space and let artistic expression have more possibility. Okay, from the image, we can see the real size of the ground screens are very big, over the 10,000 square meters. And the resolution is also very high, and over the 100 million pixels. So that super high resolution brings a great impression of the video rendering. We also designed a great reference map based on the ground screen to help locate the spatial relationship between the actors, props, and the video content, which plays a very important role in the performance narrator. Finally, the visual design of the opening and the closing ceremonies has experienced many difficulties. We need to meet the tight time schedule and constantly cooperate between the different teams while facing the various unexpected situations like animation rendering traffic and equipment debugging. The final presentation of the video design has undergone many program changes. The design styles has changed from the figurate to abstract, and the cultural connotation of the symbols has been transformed from the appearance to a deeper emotional level. In the process of creating with the disabled actors, their secret of self-improvement moved everyone. The efforts of individuals and the wisdom of groups have jointly created these two wonderful audiovisual feats, which have become a unique Chinese story in the history of the Winter Paralympics. Okay, here's my sharing section. Hello, I cannot hear you.
好，谢谢王老师。那个
You say you can't hear me, or can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, I will save the questions. First of all, thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. We'll save the questions for the discussion time. I just want to comment though on the screen, which was incredibly impressive, millions of pixels. It must have been a fascinating or an amazing sight to actually see it. We'll move on to our next speaker now, our next contribution to the session, who is Lihong Lou. And again, if you could briefly say who you are, although your slide introduces you quite well. And again, if you could keep to 15 minutes, that would be great. Thank you very much. So when you're ready to start, if you make your slides full screen, that's it, perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Good morning for friends in London, and good afternoon for friends in China. I am Lihong. Very glad to have this chance to report my works. My title is Research and Exploration on the application of virtual and augmented reality in digital exhibition. My contents include 2 points. Okay. Okay, let me begin with the first part, current application of digital technology in exhibition. As we all know, digital technology has been widely used in exhibition industry. These pictures in this page are some examples of all kinds of digital technology, including digital animation, interactive projection, multi-touch system, virtual reality, augmented reality, and so on. I studied many cases. I summed up these cases and found that most of the current digital technology application in exhibitions have these characteristics. First, they are, of course, they are novel and eye-catching. Of course, they are interesting. Many people are willing to stop and experience and play them. However, I also found most of these cases are only for eye-catching. What does that mean? I mean, they should do more. They can do more. I want them. I want they can be integrated into the narrative of the exhibit, and I want they can convey more information about the exhibit. So I think how can they do that? How can they do more? So I study and do some research. Most of my researches is focused on virtual and augmented reality. These are my research purpose. My research purpose, in one word, it is I want to use virtual and augmented reality technology as a means for of a narrative rather than just a means of attraction. So I researched and tried several methods. For example, I studied virtual experience, AR explanation, AR planning tour, virtual tour guide, and AR and MR game. First, I would like to say virtual experience. As we know, experience can give people more information and feelings. However, some exhibits are not inconvenient for a real experience. In this time, I think we can I think virtual experience can be made for them. Information about the exhibit can be conveyed during the virtual experience. Okay, I want to show an example video.
陶冶图卷这一画作详细而且形象地描绘了清代玉米厂内的瓷器制作过程。
Okay, I started. Okay, here. This is a virtual pottery culture museum. And in this virtual museum, there is a virtual experience. Okay, here, we can try to make a pottery vase by myself using a lip motion device. Look at the right bottom. A participator is operating on lip motion by gestures. And then the vase is made. It is a bit long because of the time I skip some section. Just have a look for the result. Okay, this is the result. Many experiencers told us that in this virtual experience, they got more information and feelings. Okay, my second research is about AR explanation. It works in this way. Visitors can use a mobile phone or tablet or AR glasses. When the mobile phone scans the exhibit, further explanation or information will pop up. The information to be explained can be in the form of text, pictures, animations, 3D models, videos, and other multimedia forms. And my third research is about AR planning tour. It works in this way. Visitors also use a mobile phone or a tablet. We use AR navigation technology to plan a visit route and guide the visitors according to the best route. Visitors can also interact with the AR scene to learn various information about the exhibit. And my fourth research is about virtual tour guide. As we know, in real life, tourists need to spend money to get tour guide service. However, we can develop a virtual tour guide program that runs on mobile phone or tablet or AR glasses to provide intelligent tour guide service for everyone who need it. And let's watch an example video. Okay, this is an example of virtual tour guide. The tour guide is a cartoon lamb. This is the compass. and map. Okay, the virtual guide now is introducing a sculpture. This sculpture is the symbol of Guangzhou. It is in Chinese. He is introducing the history of the sculpture. The virtual guide can lead the way. The visitor follows it and will arrive the destination. Now the visitor is following. Follow. Okay, arrived, and then begin to introduce. He is introducing the building. This building is a famous ancient building of Guangzhou. Now it is a museum of ancient relics of Guangzhou. Okay, lead the way again. If you are too far from the virtual guide, he will wait for you. When you get closer, he will continue to lead the way. He takes out a video to introduce. Okay, because of time, I stop it here. Okay, my fifth research is about AR and MR game. I think we can use AR technology to develop some games that interact with exhibits so that visitors can learn information of exhibits during the game. Okay, we can also watch a video example. The title is Save the Museum. The task of this game is to find the cultural relic in the museum. Okay, now read some information of cultural relics to prepare. Watch the 3D model. And some introduction. Okay, ready, and then go. Try to find them in the real museum. Okay, now search and search. And search. Oh, okay, found one. And succeed, and succeed for one, and for the second. Okay, because of the time, I stop it here. Okay, those are all of my report. Thanks for listening. and hope for criticism and suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another fascinating talk. I certainly think an English-speaking version of that guide would help me a great deal when I'm in Guangzhou next. So we're now going to have 3 very short talks before we have a discussion and some time for questions. And these are from students at GDUT, and they're going to present for less than 5 minutes each about some of their research. So shall I hand over to you, Yi? And do you want to introduce the students or they introduce themselves?
OK, thank you. 接下来我们选举了几位这个有代表性的同学，包括我们来自广东工业大学的，还有清华大学美术学院的这个几位同学，会根据他们的研究和项目进行一个汇报啊。有请我们第一位同学。
Is that my screen sharing okay?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. And hello, everyone. My name is Bai Min Liang, and the topic I will introduce today is a study on the development of digital art in China through artworks. And in recent years, digital art have already emerged to the sight of Chinese people. And however, due to the unique historical and cultural influence of China, if we want to find a suitable way for the development of Chinese digital art, we still need to sort out the development process and artistic characteristics and the future trends of Chinese digital art. So my teammates and I will carry out a research on this issue. And from the 70s to the 90s, the Chinese digital art and Chinese new media art had been through several first time. Like the first time foreign advanced art ideas and art styles was introduced to China, to the Chinese people in the 1979. And the first time the new media technology and new media art was brought into the Chinese public. And the first video artwork, 30x30, was born in the 1988. And the first animation title of Beijing Asian Games in the 1990 was made entirely with the C languages. And it is the first time the digital art faces to the Chinese public. And in the 90s, Chinese digital art also made some breakthroughs in the field of like education, academia, PC games, and digital animations. And after the millennium, due to the emergence of the internet and widespread of personal computers, Chinese digital art have showed obvious diversity. In this decade, we have flash animation, and the first digital film that uses the CG special effects. And these artworks show that the great progress of Chinese digital art in various fields. And at present, influenced by the Team Lab, it not only increased the interest of the Chinese audience in the digital art, but also promoted a relationship between the Chinese digital art and commerce. And the artworks on the screen are the artworks that combine the style with Team Lab and advanced technologies. And the most important one is the awareness of Chinese traditional culture in the thought of Chinese artists. And besides the combination of localization, Chinese digital art also follows the international trends of technology and constantly developing VR, AR, and CG and other technologies. And most reflected in the fields of mobile and PC games and digital films. But through the research above, we found that Chinese digital artworks always imitating the foreign technologies and innovative ideas. So the artworks in China, most of them lack of the innovation and the use of new media is immature. So these disadvantages causes the problems on the right side of the screen. And because of the Teen Lab and the programming technologies, interactive art and generative art would be the promising fields in the future of digital art in China. And Chinese digital art also have many project opportunities, and Chinese artists will more focus on the combination of localization in the future, even in these days. And that's all my report. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you very much. That was a very interesting talk. I think it's interesting to note that in some respects, Chinese digital art started quite late, but it's moving like everything else in China extremely quickly. And I really am quite excited to see what happens over the next few years. Then we have innovative Chinese digital art with a strong Chinese flavor. So I think there's potential for some very exciting work. Okay, our next student talk. If you just, the first one was great, 5 minutes exactly. So if you can do the same, that'd be great. Thank you.
Hello?
Hello, yes,
Hello.
we can see your screen. Yeah.
Yes, all right. Hello, this is Li Wanying, and today I would like to introduce my research on the digital communication strategy of folk culture from the perspective of popular culture. Because the folk costume is ignored by the public, I have proposed 2 design strategies. First, use new media technology. Second, integrate popular elements. The following are 2 design cases. This case comes from my research. It is a WeChat applet compiled using IH5. It is a Q-style game for introducing the folk costumes of Foshan Zhumiao. Based on the blessing, user can enter their wishes and a unique poster can be created after the game is finished, which meets the personal needs of young people. Thanks to the convenient applets, user can join folk activities on their palms, different from one-side sharing in the past, which raised user engagement. When I use popular elements, I need to have a survey on the target. After a questionnaire, I chose cute culture to design. And with the analysis of 30 typical cases, on the right side of the screen, I summarized the picture as 3 layers. For example, they have spatial eye distance, different saturation, and brightness. Using peer symbol ternary relation, extract the 4 elements of Zhumiao, combined with the Q style and user information, output the applets. Case 2 comes from my team member Chen Chengyuan. It is a series of blind boxes about dancing lion. It used the famous figures in ancient times and pets for reference to design 3 types of blind boxes. For example, on the left side of the screen, the appearance of Guangyu lion and cat merged into a red image. The way to use it is to select the box, print his own pattern, and use personal interaction through mobile scanning. As you can see, user can play with the digital pets. With ZBrush and Unity, decide to deepen our feeling about AR pets through the interaction of daily version, training version, and battle version. As you can see, standing and running are included in normal version. Training mode has dance and rest, and battle has phoenix and fight. The popular elements used above come from the questionnaire. It can be seen that blind box is fashionable and the main customer are young people. They believe that the combination of AR virtual pets and dancing lion can increase the way to play. Then meets new demands. Based on emotional experience, the design is divided into 3 levels. And the product is blind box with combined digital and physical objects. That's all. Thank you for listening.
Again, thank you very much. And we'll move on to our final presentation before we have an opportunity for questions. So again, I'll hand back to you, 5 minutes on the next talk, please.
好，童博士，姚博士，你可以开始了。
Hello everyone, my name is Yao Tongge from Department of Information Art and Design, Tsinghua University. The title of my participation is the design and application of immersive historical and cultural wearing spaces. An example of a great mental the light and shadow show for Tsinghua University 110th anniversary. Wait.
No, that's fine. I can see your screen.
看一下。
可以继续啊。
The immersive historical and cultural wearing spaces are multimedia display design tools that emerged in recent years, breaking the previous limitation that the project image can only be a single regular space, and injecting new vitality and vigor into the display and the dissemination of modern science education. However, how to better combine the emerging display technology with the display content is worthy of careful consideration and research by every designer. Next, I will explain the key innovation points in the design and learning effect from space design, content planning, and technical means. For the 110th anniversary of Tsinghua University, Wang Zhigang's team created a line and shadow show great mentor dialogue with history, which will fill the physical space with a dramatic story to express the positive spirit of Tsinghua University. The performance venue is located in the auditorium of Tsinghua University, and the narrative logic of the wall multimedia stage performance is divided into total structure. Synchronized in the auditorium dome for some encircling surround projection. The main stage LED screen background image, holographic screen image, and dome image echo each other to create the sense of immersion. The immersive wearing based on new media breaks the limitations of traditional wearing space, making the audience feel as if they are shortening through the history of Tsinghua campus, thus being a cross and temporal wearing experience. The special curved space of the 490 square meter dome is conducive to the extension of This in terms of visual perception, and the elder is looking up the dune while looking up at the virtual immersive space with a certain visual extension, and the future screen with the stereo sound effect can make the audience quickly immersed in it. In order to ensure the maximum effect on site, the project team set up the projection print on the second floor onto the auditorium to project the dune area. The symbols are transformed into the quantum mechanical content, pouring down the architectural structure of the dune. Signifying the fusion of art and science, this image hovers the entire dune, and the dramatic change in depth extends the benefit. The design team needed to dig deeper into which couples historical and cultural content match the three-dimensional spatial narrative. Among them, the dune's space of autism is inducement for spatial narrative, in which the artistic interpretation unfolds and gives the audience intimate reverie. The main stage story of the line shows 3D scene scenes, digital virtual science for special reconstruction to pay tribute to the masters and recreate the character classes. Among them, 5 chapters are devoted to each of the 5 masters from art and science, engineering, aesthetic, and sports, and linked to each other. Through these 5 visits and the mainstream stories and the educational philosophy of nurturing of Tsinghua masters through the ages is conveyed. The line shows multi-dimensional varying space design combined with 3D data scanning, 3D mapping. The technology and Hicks new media design application help from emotional space atmosphere, thus making the audience resonate with video content. The 3D metal data of the building appears the film in the form of point cloud, and the reigniting effect shows the memory of history. The project team used the black screen when shooting, which saved time in the post-production of the holographic screen part to a certain extent. Hicks new media design software shows pre-programming to restore the real site application requirement to achieve the real design to improve the efficiency of landing. Thank you.
Very interesting talk, thank you. Okay, so we've had 2 longer talks and then 3 student talks. I'd like to open it up now to a discussion, but first of all, any questions from our audiences, be it in the UK or China. Terry, I think you need a mic.
Yeah. 那个，我们就接下来是一个开放式的问答环节，就是看大家对刚才我们的几位专家和有这个同学有什么样的问题，大家可以举手示意我So Sean, we should have a conversation, the panel.
That's right. So first of all, I was opening it up for some questions. So we have a question here in the audience. So
hello, Yi Li. Very nice to meet you. Terry Trickett here. I've seen the 3 presentations by students. I wanted to say straight away that the quality of presentation was superb in each case. I do have a question which relates to the first student, and I think also the third student, and it's about the point of immersion and interaction. I can see exactly where you're going. My question relates to the visitor or the customer or the consumer as they might see these virtual creations. First, in the case of immersion, can the visitor actually walk through that virtual experience? Can they actually see it and experience it and walk through it in 3 dimensions, or should I say 4 dimensions. And secondly, you also introduce the idea of interactive experience, exactly as you should do in a virtual reality experience. And I wanted to know, does that mean that the visitor, the customer or consumer can actually change what they experience? Can they, if it's an artwork, if it's a palace, it's a building, if it's some well-known archaeological site, can they actually change things that they're seeing and introduce the way they're presented at a personal level? I'm sorry if that's rather complicated, but I think you'll get the point.
So Terry, was that aimed at the student presenters first? And okay, so it's about, for the students, about the interactivity of the virtual environment, really. So can we ask about the amount of interactivity in the virtual environment, particularly in the third talk?
Is that question for the third one, the student?
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yes, please.
那就请那个姚博士回答一下。
Hey guys. I think I'm in this. I might be in the next one.
Okay, dear professor, okay, I can give some explanation because this project is from me. I'm a director of the show for the 110th anniversary of the Tsinghua University. Because the environment of the architecture, there's a very famous architecture in Tsinghua University. So it's a real physical space and it has 100 years history. So there before the COVID, there are a lot of students and young people come from all over the China to Tsinghua University to visit this architecture and to have maybe a hope and purpose to come to Tsinghua University. So, but just to watch a static architecture, no real story happened in here. So I have an idea about that, to use new media art as a new narrative method to tell story of the Tsinghua's great mentors story in that historical space. So we use the holographic technology and a lot of things. But I know I want to say this show is not interactive, just a new immersive experience for the students and the teachers and other audience. So maybe next time we can use the same digital resource to make the AR or the and XR on the iPhone or mobile devices to the real location, like some gym or the in the Tsinghua University and or the classroom, maybe. So this is a real place, have the real story happen here, happen there. So, but this is the next step. The first step is we just make a show, a 30 minutes show for the audience to make the connection with the a real historical circumstance and the great mentors and their stories. Okay, this is my explanation. Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I have we have another question in the room here. So are you able to pass the microphone over?
Hi, Yes, so it's Maureen Kendall asking the question. I'm very interested in how your audience is engaging with the work that you're showing. Are you able to capture some of the user interaction, whether it's real or whether it's immersed, and ask those audiences what their stories are or how they engage with the information that they are receiving, so that their users become active participants in the storytelling? Any thoughts on that?
So this question for which one? Which presenter?
For you, I think, for you, because you're working with the students. So it's I don't mind whoever feels that they have something to say about their audiences and whether the experience actually transforms the audience's understanding of the material, and how can we capture that?
For student question, right?
I don't mind.
It's for anyone really. It's about how you capture the experience and how you maybe measure the success of some of the projects you do.
Okay, in my opinion, okay, during my experience of practice of some project, I always feel the interactive and the immersive has some conflict in the design. Okay, because immersives always need a following state. So someone feeling the environment, feeling the music, and feeling the rhythm, and so he feel a very free state of the self, but not the very active, but interactive needs some people to really have the reflection and reactive from the environment or something else. So I always see the conflict between the immersive and the interactive, but they also have some opportunity to make a combination, but it's I think in terms of the different requirements, like the learning project or learning experience, we can do more interactive design for the new media experience design. But for some cultural experience design, I think maybe the immersive is more important because they will maybe bring the audience or bring the customers to a different world. So, but it is still a great problem to research and to make deeper research. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Oh, we do have another question. I think while we have questions in the room, I think I'll hand over to people to ask questions. But I do have a couple myself.
Ni hao. Thanks for the wonderful work you presented, everyone. I have a more simple question than the other ones. I hope it's more simple. And excuse me if it sounds like more of a tourist question, but do you have a favorite museum or gallery, for new media art or interactive art in Beijing or in China? What is the best place for a visitor to China to see more new media art or new media design, interactive art? Or is it a museum or a festival? Where should we come when we come to China? And anyone can answer that.
Okay, there are some temporary exhibition will be held in several museums. I cannot give a very permanent state for the new media art museum or exhibition, like maybe Team Live. But I think there's some very interesting and very great ideas exhibition, temporary ideas exhibition in China. Maybe some of them will last 2 or 3 months. Some will happen in commercial space, and some will also hold in a museum or anything else, or also in the university. But I cannot give a very satisfied answer for the permanent exhibition. But there are exhibition in Forbidden City, but not open every day, I think.
I would add actually,
Thanks so much.
Thank you. I would add a couple of observations to that as well, which is China has a very rich tradition of light festivals, obviously going back thousands of years. So the contemporary light festivals are gigantic explorations of digital light and art. And so if you can get to see such as the Guangzhou Light Festival or another similar light festival, they're worth looking at. And you'll also uncover a lot of sort of, if you like, pop digital art in shopping centres. And it's not uncommon for shopping centres to have a sort of experience area that you might pay to go in, and you'll get to explore and interact with a whole range of digital works. So I'm starting to see it on digital art popping up in unusual places, not necessarily just in galleries. Yi, I wonder if you have any comments or things you would like to add from your end.
我们这边有同学有问题吗？可以在这儿交流一下。
So maybe the answer is no. Okay, well, we have sort of 5 minutes before we need to move on. So I'll ask one of my prepared questions, which really is, what is the importance of Chinese culture in what we see in Chinese digital art? There was a comment from one of the student presentations that a lot of early Chinese digital art was very much a sort of a copy of work they've seen elsewhere, but I'm starting to see a lot of very culturally significant work. So I wonder if any of the speakers would like to comment on that, the importance of culture, Chinese culture in Chinese digital art.
So what's the question for who you want to answer?
Whoever wants to answer it, yeah, any of the speakers.
Any of the students?
Students or the professors. So the importance of Chinese culture in Chinese digital art.
So they just want to confirm the questions. Can you just give a clear?
So what I'm asking is, what do you think is the importance of Chinese culture in Chinese digital art, in particular to give Chinese digital art a strong, if you like, Chinese flavor?
I think we saw that at the Beijing Olympics.
I was going to ask the Beijing Olympics in particular,
yes.
that the presentation there had a very strong Chinese influence. I wonder if maybe you wanted to just comment on that, the importance of ensuring that Chinese culture is represented in the work you do.
It's more like a future trend of the future Chinese digital art, because more and more artists focus on the combination of the localization. So, and also because the technologies, the capacity of the new
Oh, I think we may have lost you. Well, maybe actually for the sort of discussion session, maybe we've run our course. We can obviously carry on talking offline. What I would, so my answer to that question would be, I think it is vital that Chinese work looks like Chinese work. And when I work with young people, students over in China, the work we do, rather than getting them to create something sort of anonymous and ordinary, I always try to encourage the students to bring their Chinese sensibilities into the work they create. And I normally find that that is a great way of getting better work out of people, for them to acknowledge and get their own culture involved. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to move on to a paper presentation, the Creative Transformations paper. Is everybody set up for that to happen? While things go quiet at the other end.
Can they hear us?
He's leaning forward, I think.
So can you hear us okay?
Just wave if you can hear.
Sean, he was leaning forward towards his computer screen.
Yes, I could see on here. Yeah. So, have we lost everyone, or are we still okay to continue? A secondary communication channel here, WeChat. Okay, well, I think people elsewhere can hear us. I've had a message back saying that's okay. I'm really wondering about our Chinese contingent. Are you able to hear us okay?
Do we know who the presenter is?
Not 100% sure who's presenting this one. But, this is the GDUT team. Okay, they've lost us.
Okay.
Let me just a quick call.
Okay.
As a WeChat software you have to have in the country. Hi Yi, have we managed to lose you? Okay, yeah. Well, what I would suggest is, if necessary, we'll stop for the break now. If you want to work on reconnecting, we can then have your presentation.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, and unless you suddenly it's all working, which I don't think it is, we'll do that. So, yeah. Oh, okay. So let's try that. How we? You have them to.
They co-host because they need to be co-hosts.
They will, yeah. Okay, and are you able to show your slides? Yeah, okay. Well, if you're ready to go now, let's start your presentation now. We may have to make it a little shorter. Okay, you can start now. So I'd like to hand over to my colleague Yi Ji, who's at GDUT, who's going to be presenting some work from the university. So, Yi, are you able to share your screen? Can you hear us okay?
Yes.
So would you like to start your presentation now? Okay, can you hear me okay still?
Yeah, yep.
这边提示说不允许共享屏幕，可以分享一下屏幕吗？
那个 Sean, we need agree for the shared screen. Can you?
Oh, okay, you need to make co-host. Which account is it? You need to be upgraded.
Administrator, I think they.
Administrator. Okay.
那个要做演讲的，你那个说一下是哪个？你是哪个名字？
委员，但是这边提示说这个共享屏幕还是不可以打开。
对，他要给你授权，你
哦，对。
就是那个 administrator。Sean, I think it is the name is administrator. The name.
So we'll just make sure that that account. I think because you logged out and logged back in, maybe you lost your admin status. So you should be okay now.
你试一下看可以吗？现在可以共享你的屏幕。
好，现在是可以看见了，对吧？
好，可以了。嗯。
好 ，Hello everyone. I am Speaker Wei Yuan, and my mentor is GE. Thinktank. The topic of my speech is research on creative transformation of ancient traditional Chinese culture, taking into action design of traditional handicraft, cultural translation as an The current mobile apps of traditional handicrafts fail to deeply explore the cultural connotation and artistic features of traditional handicrafts, leading to the weakening of the artistic value of all levels of culture contestants in traditional handicrafts design, which is not conducive to the effective transmission of cultural context in the traditional handicrafts. Based on Malinowski's theory of 3 factors in culture, the different levels by direct translation, continuation of translation, and indirect translation method for traditional different levels by direct translation, continue of translation, and indifferent translation method for traditional handicrafts, class app interaction interface, interaction design, interactive content to provide design elements. The interaction design strategy is proposed to provide new design idea and references for the interaction design of traditional handicrafts mobile app. With the rapid development of national economy and technology, some traditional cultural forms representing China's unique cultural values have gradually disappeared from people's view. The arrival of the mobile internet era has brought an opportunity for the activation of Chinese handicrafts. Traditional handicrafts are diversified through the mobile internet platform in the form of vivid, real, and close to the life of the mass. In recent years, along to spread traditional handicraft culture as the content and combining with digital media technology in the mobile terminal app online, covering the cultural education, games, interactive interest cultivation, and the other fields. The use of mobile internet platform to spread the cultural content of traditional handicrafts have greatly broken the transmission limit. The public can experience the cultural content of traditional handicrafts in more convenient and rich reforms. Representative cases of highly used traditional handicrafts apps with esteemed users in Android App Store and iOS App Store were selected and analyzed respectively. After investigation, it's found that many traditional handicrafts categories only directly transfer the content and elements of traditional handicrafts into the interface design and rarely dig into the cultural connotation and characteristics of design objects, resulting in poor cognition and experience of users. In the face of such situation, how to make use of the mobile internet platform, realize the more traditional handicraft cultural information, accurate in-depth inheritance and transformation, make its cultural content and expression for unified, we need to explore further. The article is based on the concept of cultural translation theory of 3 factors in culture to inheriting the traditional arts and crafts, traditional modeling, artistic features, craft techniques, materials, tools, and the other specific context as goal, respectively from implements organization layer and spring layer select a representative traditional handicraft cultural elements as target design expression, transfer, and application of direct translation, continue indirect translation method to achieve systematic interpretation, translation, and dissemination of traditional handicraft cultural information. Material level translation of traditional craft cultural context based on artifacts layer. Behavioral translation of traditional handicraft cultural context based on the organization layer. Spiritual translation of traditional craft cultural context based on the spiritual layer. Direct translation is to graphically process the representative and visible content in the material level of traditional handicrafts by simulating the appearance of objects forming recognizable image symbols which will be used as the visual carrier of interface design elements. Continuous translation is to express the information that is not highly visual. The production techniques, tools, and the process of traditional handicrafts are continuous translated into the situation fit of interactive gestures, animation, effects, and operational feedback in app interface. In the direct translation is used to express the strongly suggestive by recursive correlation between invisible content and visual symbols, and then recreation with objective things as the reference. Direct translation of the material level of traditional handicraft. First of all, there are a lot of the cultural content of extract the symbolic significance of typical cultural elements. Elements with similar characteristics are dissembled. Isomorphism and repetition are used to construct new and identifiable image symbols. These recognizable graphic symbols serve as visual vectors for interface design elements. Continuation translation of traditional crafts behavior. Cultural translation can use guidance and simulation methods to associate and transfer the behavioral habits generated by users in the process of understanding traditional handicrafts and translate them into interactive gestures, animation effects, control various professional tools through interactive operation, guide use to complete the whole production process. Indirect translation of the sprint of traditional handicraft. First, deal with the main content of the traditional crafts of spiritual information extraction, trace the most representative and conforms to the cultural springs of traditional handicrafts of subjectivity. So, will non-figurative cultural sprint recessive associated with visual symbols and objective things as a secondary reference for creation, and then through the use of narrative design to generation interactive scenes with space, time, light, sound, and the other sensory experience interaction effects enhance the public experience to a multi-sensory visual interactive environment. Cartoon glaze porcelain is a kind of Carol porcelain handicraft with strong oriental characteristics product in Guangdong, China. Taking cartoon glaze porcelain as an example, based on cultural translation and combined with the design principles of app, this study processes the design strategies in the interactive interface, interactive content, and interactive design of traditional handicrafts app, and carry out interface interactive design to improve the user experience. Extracted out wide Carol porcelain features and fancy design through the deconstruction, isomorphics, and design method of rapid design combined with modern elements is also applied to interactive controls, label bars, navigation bars, list, etc. The representative gold color and equal blue color of cartoon glaze porcelain are extracted as the theme color to establish the overall color tone of app. The characteristic patterns and fancy features of cartoon glaze porcelain are extracted, and the design is developed with modern elements which are applied to interactive controls and background decoration. The main interface mainly displays the artistic feature of cartoon glaze porcelain. The main content of the porcelain is disassembled, and then the association and simulation are carried out according to the tools required for each step and the user's cognition and operation habits of the tools so as to match the corresponding interactive gestures, animation effects, and operation feedback. So animation effects, production tools, interactive gestures, operation feedback, sound effects, and etc. guide users to try to operate professional tools to complete the whole process of cartoon glaze porcelain production. Though tracing historical background of typical artistic characteristic for visual representation and the object things as a reference for creating again. Finally, in the form of story, interest, emotion story building with sound and light, animation, interactive, the craftsman's spirit that cartoonist porcelain conveys. The purpose of historical events is described and demonstrated through each frame of image by using the characteristics of knowledge animation. The effect is a realistic, reductive, narratable, temporal, and procedural, which effectively reduce the cognitive load of users and enhances the natural interactive experience. In addition, the research also carried out prototype testing and applied the traditional handicraft app interaction model and design strategy constructed by cultural translation theory to the app design practice of cartoon-glass porcelain mobile terminal and gain certain phase in terms of usability. This laid the foundation for further research. The proposed research on the interaction model of mobile app of traditional handicrafts can provide a valuable reference for the inheritance research and development of traditional handicrafts. In this way, the effectiveness, interest, and artistry of the cultural information dissemination of traditional crafts app can be improved so that users can experience the cultural content of traditional handicrafts and get smooth operation, experience, and profound cultural connotation, so as to enhance the enthusiasm of people to participate in traditional handicrafts and promote the dissemination of traditional Chinese culture. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for your presentation. And I know it must be very difficult to present in English complex paper like that. So well done. I think it came across very well. We are running a little late, so I don't think we have any time for additional questions. But I would like to say thanks very much to the Chinese contingent for joining us today. I think we've enjoyed the talks. We will continue with the Chinese theme after the break, and Jonathan Bowden will be involved in 2 papers. And the break, well, we come back in 22 minutes. I think we'll have to try and be quite strict and have a slightly shorter coffee break and come back at past. So again, a final thank you to all the contributors from China. If everyone sends me, I'm sure Yi can coordinate this, sends me their presentations and any links to videos, I'll create a web page and all that material on, and we'll share it with the EVA attendees and so on. So please send over your slides and videos, we can share them. So thanks again for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Okay, thank you very much. And we come back later after break. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
那个我们休息一下，中间休息，然后还有2个这个英国的艺术家来分享他们的作品。大家休息，我们是20分钟。好，谢谢。
I think we do so.